All right. Thank you.
Thank you.
It's a pleasure to be here. Do you want to do a short introduction round before we kick it off?
Yes, you first.
Thank you, thank you. So my name is Martin. I'm currently the chairman of the Finnish Cryptocurrency Association Consensus. I also have my own company called Kraftball, and recently I became a restaurateur as well. So that's me in a nutshell.
Okay.
Go ahead.
I'm freshman in ministry at the moment, so been there only 1 year, so not yet contaminated, to be honest. And especially working for innovation policy related matters at the moment, and in the interface of academia and industry. But there are a lot of other things, as we discussed already at backstage.
Yeah.
Yep.
Do you want to kick off the conversation of giving us your perspective of what is this Web3 and Metaverse, and also where do you see the economic or the potential for economic growth, let's say from the point of view of Finland?
Yes, it's definitely emerging, and it will create not only for Finland but also for Europe, I would say. And we don't know yet what are all the opportunities there, what we could dig out. So we are in the beginning of the journey, to be honest. And beginning of the journey also in terms of how we, for example, do the regulation, etc. Stuff, and also support companies and corporations there. I would say that it's not only this Web3 and Metaverse. We have also a lot of foundational things here in Finland which are needed to create or develop these Web3 and Metaverse related things further. 5 and 6G, AI, quantum, already mentioned there in the previous talk, for example, in various ways, gaming, photonics also, cybersecurity, etc. So I would say that it's not only Web3 and Metaverse, but also this grounding and fundamental technologies and skills and capabilities what we have here in Finland. Actually, I've been working for digital twin already back in 1990s. There, we didn't know that it was digital twin. I was working in Wärtsilä Corporation, and we made this kind of a service environment there, where we replicated the actual environment in Vaasa, and then guided guys in Papua New Guinea jungle. But then we did definitely know about Metaverse and Web3 and those capabilities. And bandwidth was 64 kilobits. So it was funny thing there. Nevertheless, I would say that the Metaverse can be utilized in almost all industrial applications. And not only in industry, but also, for example, in city environments. City as it's a complex animal, to be honest, and you should be able to develop a lot of nice solutions to the cities, etc. However, how to test them, how to collect the data, and how to simulate them, and eventually, in the end, how to implement them. And startups, for example, they have a lot of trouble and problems there to approach cities there, and I would say that this twin city models, etc., can also be helpful there for those. And I would say that it's not only opportunities, it's also challenges. So data, how you collect it, how you analyze it, how you calculate the data. Edge computing is coming also in order to cut down the latency between backend and the data need where you need it, etc. Computational power connectivity that I mentioned also. So eventually it will provide significant opportunities, not only in currency area or financial area, but also in almost all industries.
All right.
Yep. Then I have a question to you. There it goes. So, what are your experiences as an entrepreneur and an investor? You are both, and actually you have wider experience there behind you. In Web3 space, focusing on specific challenges you have acknowledged in your career.
Yeah. Well, I would probably kick it off in terms of regulatory uncertainty. We had the same problem when we were launching Aave back in 2017. So not knowing quite precisely, are we talking about securities, commodities, or what is the regulatory status of this new asset class? Back then, it was still a very much emerging asset class. The awareness around it was very small compared to what it is today. And the sort of first product market fit that we saw was this digital crowdfunding, so this ICO boom, which was maybe got carried away a little bit towards the end. So there was a reset, couple of years of a sort of cool down break, and then we saw another wave of sort of product market fit with DeFi, which is decentralized finance. So basically building regular financial instruments and tools, but in this new Web3 environment. So basically utilizing blockchain technology and smart contracts to automate these functions that are needed in these financial systems and create it in this new decentralized environment. But it's the same kind of regulatory uncertainty. It's still the same sort of challenge that it was back then. Now we have the micro regulation coming in EU, US. There's a different type of situation there, but I think we're gonna see some jurisdictions that are gonna be more crypto friendly, attracting a lot of the innovative thinking and these entrepreneurs that are pushing this industry forward. They're gonna migrate to these places where they know for certainty that they can operate and build their business without maybe getting sued by the SEC or something like this. But yeah, I think that's it.
Yeah, I have to reflect on this crypto-friendly regulation. I would say that we have to have also the same approach than in US. They are targeting to make not only crypto-friendly but also innovation-friendly regulation there, which is definitely needed there. So.
Yeah, I would have to disagree here slightly, considering the fact that let's say the biggest US-based crypto exchange, Coinbase, went public a year ago. Their whole filing for going public was approved by the SEC, and now 1 year later, Gary Gensler decides that, okay, I'm going to sue the Coinbase exchange for listing unregulated securities, which he then again approved the year prior to that. So the uncertainty and especially the type of actions that they're currently doing, I would almost call it like a concentrated effort against the industry. In the crypto space, it's called the choke point 2. So basically, they are blocking the banking infrastructure that is still needed for the crypto industry. So you have people onboarding and offboarding from the crypto. So you need this on-ramp. So you either need to send from your bank account, transfer it into crypto exchange, and then convert it into crypto before you can even enter this new Web3 ecosystem. And currently, all the gateways into the ecosystem are being very meticulously blocked and made very difficult for the regular users to get onboarded. But
so what they are saying and what they are doing do differ a bit, or a lot.
Yes, they do. And there's also this, I don't know if they know precisely themselves either what they're doing, because you have the SEC suing them for listing unregistered securities. And at the same time, you have the CFTC suing them. And apparently they think it's, we're talking about a commodity, which would fall under their purview. And then again, the SEC think it's a security, so that they would have the jurisdictional power to regulate this stuff. Okay. But like I said, it's very much still an open question what the regulatory framework will even look like in the US. So in this sense, the EU is moving in a way better direction, because the micro-regulation at least is somewhat very clear in terms of what's going to come, and it's going to get implemented next year. And all the local financial authorities are already sort of, okay, we know this is okay, we know this is not okay, and then there's something in between. But at least there's some part of the industry that can be regulated, and it will be clear how to operate within the legal frameworks. Yeah.
Okay, good.
But yeah, well, I'm going to kick it back to you. What kind of role do you see the government playing in fostering this type of innovative space and creating the opportunities for companies to enter this Web3 space?
First of all, at the moment, there are governmental negotiations ongoing there back in Helsinki, and this morning I tried to look whether there are any reflections or input materials concerning Metaverse and Web3, etc. related things. However, I couldn't find them yet. There might be some from our Treasury Ministry, but they are not public, at least yet. The good thing is that, first of all, from systemic point of view, we have now a law, or this R&D Act, or Funding Act, which increases the funding for research and development, not only for companies but also research organizations. And I think we have significant challenges there to make things happen. During this governmental period, it will be around 2.7 billion euros that will be additionally funded by government. And then companies, of course, they need to match that by doubling that amount, so it's a big effort there. So I would say that that's the first enabler there. And definitely it will have an impact also to Web3 and Metaverse related things. Then what we are also doing as a fundamental thing, we have to have an inspiring and supportive innovation environment there. And which need to be, among other things, predictable. At the moment, it's not so predictable yet what comes to funding and also legislation. And not only in Web3 and Metaverse area, there are other things also. So more often we do follow and react instead of lean forward there. We are not utilizing it effectively, for example, these sandboxes which could be utilized here. In the end, it needs to be sustainable, evolving, and evolvement and development is definitely a key thing there, which we also need to create. And it's not only the funding, it's not only the regulation, it's not only messages what we give there, but also a lot of other actions there, what need to be done there. And definitely it's also a call for industry and companies there to join. So the wisdom doesn't lie in ministries, to be honest. That's the fact, even especially in areas which are very advanced, etc. So we need to have very close connection to for example, Web3 and Metaverse companies there, in order to understand what needs to be done, what are the constraints there, and how to develop things further as fast as possible. Well, there are some street bumps there.
Yeah, I think we still got some time.
Yeah. Nevertheless, we have in April Business Finland, which is under our ministry. So they have released now the work to create a Metaverse strategy for Finland. It's in the beginning, and the work need to go. So I strongly advise you also to contribute, you all, to be honest there. Also, there are Business Finland missions at the moment. So there is this digital native Finland, but it's more kind of an fundamental, connected, etc. things. But there will be fifth mission, Business Finland mission there now, and that's immersive digital life, and that's under development now, and very closely connected also to the industry. Then Sitra, as we discussed back there, has recently published 6+1 recommendations there concerning what should be done there and how to develop the things further. And I would say that ministry can do something, public authorities can do something. However, also, for example, creating a very good ecosystem and discussions within the industry, you are needed there. So we can't initiate something that is kind of an up to the companies and key thinkers there. And also VTT, our Technical Research Center, has recently started a project where they target to reform the industrial work with a worker-first approach there, and utilize also Metaverse and Web3 things there. So a lot is ongoing, and last but not least, the European Commission is going to release this month an initiative concerning about the vision of emerging virtual worlds. So I'm looking forward to that, and we have influence to that also in ministry, and then of course the next steps are to be seen, and I hope also we can implement things based on the governmental program which will be released hopefully soon. So a lot of things are ongoing. whether they are right or not, you have to advise also us. So
Yeah.
don't hesitate to call us or ping us. So we need your wisdom.
Yeah, and on the other hand, Finland is once again pioneering in this space in the sense that we had the first EU-regulated, fully regulated stablecoin,
Yes.
Euro stablecoin, Euro E, launched by a Finnish company here in Finland, regulated by the FIVA. So in this sense, we are sort of already at the forefront, and this is basically enabled by the MiCA regulations that it will give clear guidelines in terms of stablecoins and service providers, so wallets, exchanges, etc. That is already something, but then there's the whole space of DeFi, the questions regarding issuance of tokens and all these other decentralized forms of applications that can be built that are sort of a little bit less clear in terms of the regulatory framework, but maybe that will sort itself out.
Yeah. Well, looking back to your career and combining that to unicorns also, so Web3 and Metaverse definitely are one seed or foundational element for unicorns. And in UIA speech also, you target to have, was it 10 to 15 unicorns in near future? So that's a great target and also a challenge. Now Aave is one company in your career. You used to be there 1.5 years approximately a few years ago, and now the company decided to operate in UK. And I would say that has been a loss for Finnish industry and our economy too, but please elaborate.
Yeah, so for those who don't know, Aave is the first decentralized lending protocol. We built this smart contract-based lending where you can use your crypto assets as collateral and take a loan against those assets in cryptocurrency as well. So we launched this during 2017, and towards 2018-19, ETHLend, as it was called before, got rebranded into Aave. And nowadays Aave is the biggest liquidity protocol on the Ethereum, basically. So billions and billions dollars worth of liquidity and a possibility for anyone to use their crypto assets as collateral. When we were starting out, we did talk to the financial authority here in Finland. The question was sort of like, we don't know, because how could they know? Yeah. There was no such thing as DeFi, so now maybe the term decentralized finance have sort of become normal inside the space. Outside the space, it still doesn't say anything at all. But back then, nobody seemed to even know what we were doing, so sort of understandable that it was very difficult to regulate it. But because we couldn't be certain that would the Finnish financial authority consider our crowdfunding campaign as revenue from a legal entity's point of view, which would then be taxable. So this just led to the fact that we're based in Estonia, Switzerland, because Switzerland was already back then doing this crypto hub type of project where they were branding the Zug and Chiasso as the crypto valleys, so basically a hub for Web3 companies to locate into and sort of have this type of regulatory certainty that they won't get prosecuted, basically. But then again, you had the banking infrastructure, which back again we saw the same pretty much in the Europe that is currently happening in the US, that if you had anything to do with cryptos at all, or your company was involved in this business, your banks were pretty much automatically just shut down. And without bank accounts, it's very hard to pay salaries and operate a regular business. But nowadays, Aave is based in London, and I think this is something where the UK has sort of, I don't know if it's intentional or unintentional, but they have succeeded in attracting a lot of the Web3 talent and the mind share of the whole industry into London, and it has sort of become this Web3 hub on this side of the Atlantic.
UK is doing a lot now in this R&D and innovation field.
Yeah.
They're putting a lot of effort, a lot of money, and then changing also structures there. What would be the key ingredients to get these kind of unicorns to stay in Finland in the future?
Yeah, I think we would need the regulation in terms of, well, you have all the crypto license nowadays, so you can issue a token, yes, but then again, how do we classify these tokens? Are there any distinctions between these tokens in terms of are they considered to be securities, commodities, or a completely new asset class? And if you look at it, how the US is approaching it, they're basically taking a 100-year-old regulatory framework for what is the definition of a security, how we test and then they're trying to cram this new digital form of value through the same regulatory framework, and of course it's not going to fit in there. So I think we should sort of have a blank slate and consider the possibility of building a completely new regulatory framework that would regulate these tokens and crypto assets, because you have so many different kind of them. If you look at Aave, they have their native token, the Aave token, which some might consider as sort of a share in a old traditional LLC type of structure. Then you have real world assets, so basically just tokenizing, let's say, commodities, so tokenized gold, or then you have the stable coins. You can have so many different forms of or different token economics built into the tokens, and basically automating, let's say, dividend payments and this type of stuff. And nowadays you have the protocols, so Aave lending, Uniswap for exchanges. So you can basically create a smart contract that will facilitate hundreds of millions of dollars worth of trading on a daily basis. And the protocol, which is basically just code, or a set of smart contracts that are governed by all the token holders. Theoretically, you could be taking some of these profits that the protocol is generating. So people are using the protocol is creating or generating protocol revenue, which is then put into a treasury, which is governed by all the token holders. This is where the decentralized autonomous organizations and these new type of organizational structures that live purely in the digital environment come into play. And theoretically, you could be driving this value back to the token holders, which would basically be a digital version of an LLC and a dividend payment to shareholders. But currently, if you do that, then I would say pretty much automatically you would be considered a security. Yeah. Well, who do you go after? In the case of Uniswap, let's say Hayden Adams, but at the end of the day, there's nothing he can do about it. The smart contracts have been launched on the Ethereum blockchain. Yep. They're going to run there anyway, so there's no stopping these protocols at this time. And I think this is sort of the genie is out of the bottle, the milk has already spilled. There's no going back anymore. Like, no, let's stop with this crypto, blockchain, Web3 stuff. Instead, I think we should sort of push in front of it and try to make a regulatory framework that would enable this type of innovations. And maybe even have them, stay in Finland. Because there is a very active community here, lots of new projects popping up, but I'm afraid most of them won't be staying in Finland, mainly for the reasons I just explained. But yeah.
We have to be very clever in foresight in the future, and to be honest, when we recognize these kind of situations, I would say that we are too late. Yeah. Because companies like Aave, they don't have time to wait regulation to change, etc. there, and to be honest, we are not so agile in government.
And to be honest,
I wish we were.
We left like half a decade ago, and I don't think we would still get the regulatory clarity we need to operate here.
Sorry to hear that.
This is a good segue into the next question. Is basically, where do you see the biggest challenges, and what are your biggest concerns in terms of Web3 adoption? So we're talking about regulatory, privacy, security. Regulation was sort of covered already. What about the security aspect, and also, of course, privacy as well?
Yeah. Well, I would say that first of all, we are targeting to be internationally on regulatory basis, as we discussed already, on the level which enables these businesses, etc. The security is something that need to be worked out still. So there is work ongoing. I don't have full visibility for that, unfortunately, there. And we need to also understand the use cases there, which are emerging, because they actually make things clear, or what we should do. Without use cases or proper use cases or scenarios, I would say that we can't act. And there I think that I call you and colleagues also here to set a workshops or such, really to also to understand what kind of things we are facing in the future, because without that understanding, I would say that we can't do anything there. So we are doing what comes to these different concerns, etc. A lot of various things there. Still too late, more often, unfortunately. And we need to also have a good understanding about what are the consequences about acts, what we are going to make, or all the policy things, what we are going to do there. And one more thing is there that we need to also be able to provide funding to proper development there in the future. And that also means that, for example, Business Finland, we need to develop their capabilities to understand the business in the future in order to provide proper funding for emerging companies and businesses there. So I call you anyway to provide better understanding use cases and also how to steer the system forward. We have a lot of understanding there still. We need that kind of an foreground or not forecasting, but anyway, foresighting understanding also there. Sitra is also providing that, but still we need expertise there.
Absolutely.
Yep. And we have 2 minutes to go. I hope you allow us to still have a couple of things there. So how do you vision the future of the Metaverse and Web3 and how it can contribute the value creation to our economical growth, businesses, etc. And Web3 is not the last step. Web4 is also there and somebody discusses already about Web5, very abstract thing there, but still let's focus on Web3 now.
Web3, sure. Well, the biggest potential or the value proposition of Web3 and the blockchain technology is, of course, that we can bring a lot of transparency into the financial system because these are public blockchains. We can bring immutability and these other properties of a blockchain that will be, in my opinion at least, very beneficial for the financial system, the way we currently look at it. Also the way we, most of the functions of a bank at the back end side of things can be automated using these smart contracts. I think there's a transition period, of course, when we move from this centralized type of money into this new decentralized world where we can transfer value through internet with frictionlessly, basically, so there's no problems. But if we bring it back, you know, this is like a decade into the future and bring it back to this day, I think the biggest potential is just, well, for example, remittance, so cross-border transfer of money. We won't be needing Wells Fargo type of services for too long, or they will have to somehow adopt this new railways of transfer money, because I can basically send instantly whatever amount of money I want to whatever country I want, basically. So this type of innovation is already here today. What will be built on top of this is, of course, these financial derivatives. We have the exchanges, the wallets, etc. The user experience currently is terrible, so no regular person is ever going to use the wallets as they are currently. You have to manage your own private keys. You have to understand how these seed phrases are stored and generated, etc. There's a lot of security issues there. But already this day we have this multi-party computation wallets where this is all abstracted so that the user actually never even knows anything about or doesn't have to know anything about the keys, etc. So I think it's we give it a couple of years, the user experience is going to get better, and then there's an actual possibility of onboarding millions and millions and millions of new users. Currently, the blockchains don't scale, so you have a lot of, you know, as soon as you get the market always goes in waves, and as soon as you get the big wave of new users, the blockchain is going to get, you know, congested, which will lead to the fact that suddenly the transfer isn't instant and it's not, you know, few cents, it's suddenly, you know, tens of dollars to just transact a regular transaction on the blockchain. So I think these type of technical problems have to be solved first. But then the next one is, of course, the real world assets. So you have these financial primitives like Aave, where you can use tokens as collateral. Well, currently it's other crypto assets collateralized against crypto. But in the future, hopefully you can tokenize, let's say, gold or real estate or whatever, these real world assets. And once you can tokenize them, then you can, of course, fractionalize them, bring in a ton of liquidity, and then even use them as collateral. So I think we're going to see these type of events happening. And the gaming, of course.
Yeah, a lot of opportunities in financials and gaming. European Union actually has analyzed also what could be the great opportunities there. So healthcare has been one thing there, definitely. Education, we already saw the example from ECIU University here also, which is also on its way to deploy virtual reality, augmented reality, etc. Art, also another very good example there. And finally, very basic industry, logistics, manufacturing industry, etc. as we used to do back in 90s in Wärtsilä. So I would say that we can do that more efficiently now in every company, and not only in big companies, but also in SME type companies there. So we have a lot of things there to achieve there together with industry and based on Web3 and Metaverse. So
we could probably push this for another half hour easily, but
we have 10
lunch,
seconds to go now.
It's a little bit dangerous to take too much of people's lunchtime. So thank you.
Yep.
Thank you for the
Thank
audience.
you very much for listening, etc.